Hey guys, it's Katie and welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another video. If you're new here, I am graduating college literally next Friday. Actually, it's Monday, so literally on Friday, which is crazy. So I just wanted to do a little video. I wasn't going to film this, but I'm like, why not? I think I would have loved watching something like this when I was applying to my school, and I think I did watch videos like this. I feel like these types of videos are really helpful even if you're not going to the college I went to, but I just wanted to talk about some tips and tricks I have, what I've learned over my 4 years in college. Obviously, I am not all-knowing, I still have a lot to learn, but this is just from my experience and some things that happened to me, some things that I learned, my advice. So I hope you guys enjoy and let's get into it. So I literally asked ChatGPT to give me questions, so I'm just gonna be looking down at those if you see me looking down at my laptop. This video is not really gonna have much like structure. I'm just gonna be like answering questions and hopefully giving some good advice. So the first question is, why did you choose your college/major? So I'm going to start with my college and then I'll kind of get into why I chose my major. So I go to Elon University. If you guys didn't know, if you don't know where that is, it is in North Carolina, specifically in a town called Elon, which is in Burlington. And Burlington is kind of in between Greensboro and Raleigh, are like the major cities. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. Honestly, when I was applying to colleges and stuff, it was COVID. I was like not doing the best mentally. It was like the beginning of like my not doing the best and not really realizing I was really malleable in my opinion. And my parents told me, because I didn't really have an opinion, like I didn't really, it's not that I didn't care, I just didn't really know, and I didn't really like think about it. Like I thought for myself, but if someone told me something, I'd be like, okay. So I think my parents were like, which I appreciate them saying this, they were like, get out of California, because I'm from California, get out of California, explore something new, go somewhere else. So I had in my head North Carolina. My uncle went to Duke. I was like, why not? I've heard it's beautiful, it's far away, it's in a different place, why not? So I started looking at schools like in the East Coast. I also applied to some California schools and like all over. But mostly my top schools were Elon, TCU, which is Texas Christian University in Texas, and then St. Andrews in Scotland. So those are my top 3 choices that I was heavily considering going to. And then I also kind of, if you guys didn't know, I played D1 golf, and I also kind of, that was another part of it, I was getting recruited. So I was also in the process of figuring out if I wanted to go to school for golf or not. I was also trying to figure out, like, am I good enough to play at the schools I want to go to academically? What's the vibe? Ended up finding Elon, and I visited it and I absolutely fell in love. I think that was like one of the #1 things, is the campus. And I know this sounds so cheesy, but I'm sure that some of you out there who have committed to college, who are maybe already in college, understand this. I just like felt it. Like I felt at home, I felt comfortable, I felt like it's where I belong in my visit. I loved everything they said to me in the tour. I loved the campus. I felt like I could see myself here. Everything was great. And I love St. Andrews, but I was like, I don't think I'm ready to go abroad for 4 years for college. I definitely want to study abroad in college, but I just wasn't ready to. I think I could have done it, but I just didn't really want to. I was like thinking about it. I'm like, what if I want to go home? Like, it's just hard to get home, blah, 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 blah. I think my life would have been interesting if I did that, and I'm curious to see what it would have looked like. I ended up choosing Elon. And once I chose Elon, I was like, wait, what if I could walk onto the golf team? What if I could be on the golf team? So I emailed the coach and talked to him, whatever, ended up being able to play on the golf team. And that was another reason why I wanted to go. So I already loved the school, I loved everything about it, and I was on the golf team, so it was perfect. I got to play D1 golf and go to a school that I liked in case I didn't want to play anymore, which ended up happening, spoiler alert. So that's why I chose Elon overall. That was a very convoluted answer. Overall, I loved the campus, I loved the people I met on my tour, and I got to play on the golf team. That was basically my my choice, and I'm so happy with my choice. Like, I made the best decision ever, and I'm so grateful that I chose Elon. If you don't end up liking where you're going, you can always transfer, and that's something that I want to make clear. Like, you can always transfer. You don't need to like feel this horrible feeling if you're not happy where you are, you know what I mean? Or I have friends that have transferred. It's not a big deal. If you're not happy, obviously you can switch things up. So don't feel like when you're choosing a college, because sometimes I feel like it's like a little bit, I don't know, for me, this could be completely far-fetched for anyone else, but I feel like sometimes it's a little bit constricting to feel like you're committing to somewhere and maybe you're not 100% happy, whatever. It's okay. So my major is political science and my minor is criminal justice. I chose political science because honestly, I think my dad majored in political science and I was like, okay, whatever. I'm really good at writing. I'm pretty good at reading. I hate tests. And I love the government. I feel like I'm smart. I was gonna major in sociology at first or anthropology, but I thought political science would allow me to have a wider range of studying and job opportunities. Did it really? Not really, but that's okay. I honestly am not like the most into it that I think a lot of other people in my major are, but I've learned a lot. I've worked hard. I have grown so much academically. So yeah, and I'm proud of myself. I kind of wanted to talk about like friendships and that kind of thing because I think this can be sometimes very daunting for people and sometimes very like, you know, am I gonna make friends? What if I don't? What, blah, blah, blah. So for me, I will say freshman year, I got very lucky and I'm so grateful because freshman year, basically my situation was I was living with this girl who I had met previously. She was not an athlete. A lot of the athletes at this school get paired up with other athletes for living. I feel like due to the fact that I maybe committed a little bit later, and also I had already had my roommate who wasn't an athlete before I committed to playing golf here. So I could have probably like had her find another roommate and found another one, but I was like, it's fine. And I'm so glad I made this decision because I was like, I want to be friends with the athletes and whatever, but I also want to have other friends. And that's exactly what I did at the school. So my roommate freshman year, we are not friends anymore. We are actually not, like, it was bad. What happened there was bad. But that is also very common, by the way, getting in fights with roommates, having roommate beef. Don't expect, and I will say this louder for the people in the back, don't expect your freshman year roommate or anyone you meet freshman year, honestly, or sophomore year, to be your best friend. It is okay if they're not. Obviously, it's awesome if they become that. You are not down bad if you're not best friends with your freshman year roommate. That is a big thing. Because obviously, freshman year, that's like the people you have. That's the person you have, and you feel like you have to, especially for me. And I did get very close with her, but then you want to make sure you're making other friends because when things happen, as they did for me, it's like, okay, well, they're not the be all end all. In about February of freshman year, she moved out. So I had the room all to myself, which was really nice. I had a boyfriend at the time, so that was also really nice. And I had 2 suite mates. So we shared a bathroom and we lived in a dorm, and they lived over here, I lived over there. Those suite mates ended up becoming some of my closest friends here. So I'm very, very grateful for that. Ava and Melissa, love them, and they are a big part of my friendships still to this day, senior year. So we had that, and then I had another friend named Julia. Julia and I are still friends. I love her. Shout out Julia. And she was also friends with this girl named Paige. So Julia knew me, Julia knew Paige. Julia and I all started hanging out and becoming friends. Paige and I ended up becoming really good friends. And then Paige became friends with me, Melissa, and Ava. Melissa and Ava are my suite mates who live next to me. We all became a group of 4. So we kind of had this little squad going on. My freshman year roommate was also in that squad, and then she just went off the rails and had to move out. Other than that, I also had my golf team. So I had those friends, and then I also had my golf team, which again, I got really lucky. I'm so grateful. I had my golf team, and I don't know what I would have done without them. I have met my very best friends on the golf team. I mean, seriously, if you play a sport in college, if you're in a sorority, anything like that, that's another piece of advice. You will meet your very best friends, and that is just how it happens. Like, you have to be a part of something, in my opinion. And you'll find that. Don't feel like pressure or anxiety. You'll find that because when you do the things you love, even by yourself at first, you will find people that have similar interests and that are the same as you and like-minded. Another thing I will say that is so important, and I kind of touched on it a little bit, but it is the fact that freshman year, I was a completely different person. Completely different person. I don't even know who I was. And yes, I have some of the same friendships, but it is normal to grow out of friendships and to have different friendships, different years, to make new friends. You will make new friends. I have made new friends this semester since getting back to Elon that I consider really, really close friends, good friends of mine. So you will find your friendships. You will also grow so much. So if freshman year you end up with nobody or whatever, don't give up. Don't, in my opinion, this is my opinion because obviously everyone's situation is different. So if for you, if it's the best thing to leave college, but I always say to people, like, even if you're not happy freshman year, I mean, freshman year fall, I was depressed. I will tell you that. And sophomore year, actually, and we can get into that in another video, and that's the thing, like, you change so much, you grow so much, so stick with it. I was literally about to leave sophomore year and take a semester off because of, like, my mental health and stuff like that, and I'm so glad I didn't, honestly, and I obviously worked on my mental health at college, but don't give up. Like, literally do not quit college, do not leave. Obviously, there's something to be said if you're deeply unhappy or want to transfer or something like that, but sometimes it's better to just stick with it, and it's uncomfortable. It's hard to make new friends, but everyone's in the same boat, and you will find your friends, I promise. So that's kind of my friendship situation. Obviously, I've made so many new friends since then, and I've gone on abroads and made best friends. Everywhere will present itself if you are ready to accept it. Everywhere will present itself with amazing people for you. If your eyes are open, if you're ready to have them in your life, it will happen. And yeah, like I said, if freshman year, even if sophomore year, you have not found your people, that's okay. That's completely normal. I think my situation is special and abnormal, but you will find your friends, I promise. How do you pick good classes or professors? This is kind of niche, I will say. For classes, a lot of it has to do with what's available and what your major is. As an athlete, actually, I had less flexibility, obviously, because I had to take classes at certain time for practice, but yeah, you can kind of make your own schedule, and that's fun, but I feel like you kind of have to get into a routine and know what you want for your day. And this kind of goes along with how do you stay organized during the semester. Have a routine. And especially when you're not an athlete, I feel like, and I had to find this as not an athlete, because at first I was like, what am I doing with my life? Like, what? But you have to find what works for you. For me, I know that working out in the morning works for me. Having morning classes after that works for me. And then having the rest of the afternoon works for me. And I have loved that. And then doing work and homework and stuff like that in the afternoon. So that works for me. If you like to sleep in, make all your classes later and section times out to do work. Like, I find when I have a specific, like, 8 to 9, I'm going to do an hour of XYZ. I am more productive than saying, like, oh, this afternoon I'll get to it, you know? So, and also, like, on this note, I was not like this. Freshman, sophomore year, my grades were not that great. It's not a regret because I hate to use that word, but I wish I would have put more effort in the beginning of college because obviously it's cumulative. And this last year, I did so well in school, but because of my freshman and sophomore year, I didn't do as well as I would have cumulatively. So that's another thing. From the beginning, it matters. And obviously, like, I really wasn't in the headspace to be giving more than I was to school at the time, but I think that's another thing. Like, if you're in a position where you can give your all to school and try really hard, do it. And there is a way to balance having school and fun, and that balance will take time to learn how to deal with. But I would say don't sacrifice your academics, don't sacrifice your discipline for the social aspects of college, because first of all, they will not be going anywhere for 4 years. Like, the parties will keep happening. They literally happen all the time. That's something I've always said in college. If you one night are feeling like, I need some extra sleep, that's fine, because tomorrow there'll probably be something. So that's another thing. Don't sacrifice all that good hard work for partying, drinking, whatever. Yes, that can be fun, partying, going out with your friends, having a good time. And I'm not saying don't do that, because I think you need balance in life. Work hard, play hard. But I think I wish I would have done a better job of prioritizing my schoolwork, of prioritizing my health over partying and the newness of college and the social aspect, the freedom, adjusting to not having your parents tell you to come home at a certain time. Like, but I think at the same time, I had to learn it the way I did, and I had to be kind of almost shocked into like all this freedom to be able to get to the point I'm at now. So there's two sides to that coin. I love this question, and I've honestly been talking about it recently with some of my friends. We've been getting really introspective. And the question is basically like, what's the biggest thing you learned outside of the classroom in college? If you are debating going to college and you are able to go to college, you're in a position where you're lucky enough to go to college, go. Go, 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 go. Please take advantage of it. Go. College was, I think, the most foundational, best thing that ever happened to me. Changed my life, besides therapy. Changed my life for the better. I cannot express enough how much you grow as an individual in college. Your values, your beliefs, your routine, what you want to do. Everything. College is more valuable than anyone can ever tell you until you go. And there's people that don't go to college, obviously, and they're completely fine, but the experiences that you get shape you. You have to learn how to live on your own. You have to learn how to do your laundry, clean your dishes all the time, live with roommates, not get in fights. Like, it is difficult, and it is foundational in the way that it shapes you. There's so many academic advantages that it gives you as well. But outside of the classroom, the biggest thing I learned is that everybody was raised differently. And it sounds stupid, it's like, okay, yeah. But you don't realize how much that affects you, because obviously when you're in high school, you're living still with your family. So everything you do is like, your family's going to be a sounding board. They're always there. And obviously they're still there over call in college, but it's different because you're doing everything. You're making decisions yourself. You're dealing with people by yourself. Like, you can't go home to your mom and be like, bro, this person said this, like, blah, blah, blah. But, well, you wouldn't call your mom bro, but, well, I do, but, okay. But yeah, so people are raised differently, and I think you're kind of in your own bubble in high school and you don't realize that, and then you get out in the real world, you're like, nobody thinks like I do. Or, you know, obviously there's those special people that do, but you know, for instance, some people I was, you know, friends with, whatever, they're not going to go out of their way to be like, do you want to come to dinner with us? Or, you know, how are you doing? Or do you want to hang out today? Like, no, some people are just going to go do their own thing, and they're not going to think, like, you know what I mean? And you have to learn not to take things personally, first of all, and that everyone does things differently. It's based on the way that they were taught. It's based on the way they were raised. Everyone goes through different stuff. Everyone's going through their own thing. Everyone's going through their own journey. You know what I mean? Sometimes I found myself like holding people to higher standards, or standards that actually never really existed for them. You know what I mean? Because that's how I held myself to. But it's like, some people just weren't raised the same way. So, and that's not a bad thing. It's just learning how to navigate people and learning how to take people for who they are and what they show you. You know what I mean? So, like, I was always taught to see the good in people, and that's such a great way to live. But at a certain point, it's also like, sometimes it's like people aren't this perfect person, and you just have to take them at face value and be like, wow. So I feel like sometimes I've learned, you know, how to navigate different types of people, and they've probably learned how to navigate me and different types of people. So that's part of it. And it's not that you have to change who you are, but you do have to adapt, and you have to learn, and you have to grow, and you have to be willing to hear different opinions, and you have to be willing to self-reflect and grow and not take things personally. Cheers. Okay guys, this video is getting a bit long, so I think I'm going to answer one more question and then wrap it up. So the question is, what would you do differently if you could restart? And obviously this is always easier said than done, and I never look back with any sort of regret ever in my life. But if I could do something differently that I want to just tell you guys, it is that be yourself. Be confident, and don't hide in this little shell, because that's what I did, I think. And I was actually talking to my roommate Annie about this too, and she agreed. She was like, yeah, freshman year, I just feel like I was so inward, and you just feel like everyone's judging you. You feel like blah, 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 blah. And now I'm at this point, and obviously I'm a senior, so I have nothing to worry about anymore, but like, this is how I should have been living the entire time, where I'm like, I don't care. I don't care if I walk past that person and she thinks my outfit is horrible. I love my outfit. Because at the end of the day, it's like, who cares? Like, no one really cares, and no one's really thinking about you as much as you're thinking about you, honestly. So I think I just would have said, live more freely and don't be so anxious and cooped up. Obviously, that's easier said than done if you have anxiety. I mean, I struggle with anxiety, but I'm just saying, learn how to manage it instead of feed into it. And I wish I would have learned that earlier. I've learned that now. Obviously, I know how to manage my anxiety and how to talk myself down and realize that all the thoughts I'm thinking aren't necessarily true. But at the beginning, it was hard. I mean, I was definitely anxious to go to class all the time. I was anxious for everything. I was just this little shell of myself. And I think I just wish I would have realized that it's all in my head and no one really cares as much. No one's judging you. Everyone's in the same boat. And I wish I just would have opened up a little bit and been my true self earlier. But like I said, I don't look back at it with regret, because everything happened the way it happened for a reason. So I think I became who I am because of everything that happened to me, and I'm obviously still growing and still learning and still trying to come into myself. So it's a journey. And also, when you are a senior, don't feel like you have to know exactly what you're doing. That's another piece of advice. I'm kind of going off on a tangent now, but I have no idea what I'm doing after this. I'm going to summer camp this summer, and then after that, I have no idea. Obviously, I'm going to find a job and move back to LA, but I don't know, and that's okay. Like, that's another thing I've had to work on, is like, up until this point, I've known exactly what every single step in my life is gonna look like. I've gone to school, I've gone to college, I've played golf, blah, 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 I've done this, I've been in school my whole life, whatever, as I'm sure a lot of you watching have. And now it's kind of, I'm at this point where I'm like, I know I need to make money, but that's about all I really need to do. Like, what am I gonna do with my life? And at first, like, junior year, whatever, I was like, that is so scary, like, I'm screwed, like, whatever. And now I'm like, that is a privilege. You have a college degree, you're graduating from college, you have the privilege of being able to live at home with your parents who you love and who are accepting you living there, and you can do whatever you want. Like, that's awesome. So now I'm excited about that, and I just hope that you guys have the same kind of excitement too, and just realize that you can literally do whatever you want in life, and that is awesome. Like, that is so cool. You can do anything you want, anything. I hope that you guys have taken something from this, and if you guys have any specific questions, please leave them down below. I know I also didn't really talk specifically about Elon, so if you have any questions about Elon University, leave them down below. I'd love to answer them, and maybe I'll do a part 2. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully it wasn't too long. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below what other kind of videos you guys would like to see from me. I can't believe I'm graduating next Friday. Maybe I'll make a little graduation vlog, I don't know. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.